wild. Hello, hi everyone. Excuse me, sorry. Oh, it's been some days of good sleep here lately. And it's not that I wasn't sleeping before, but honestly, I've been up for like an hour now, and I still want to just go back to sleep. I might take a nap. But anyway, today I guess I'm switching it up, and I'm gonna use the Universe Has Your Back cards and the Pride Tarot because I'm feeling it. And we'll just see what's up. Like I've been doing. I thought I grabbed the Energy Oracle cards because the boxes are of comparable size and weight, but it was these, so we'll go with it. Excuse me. It was low key feeling like a mini lunar eclipse type of energy. Because I remember around the lunar eclipses last year, my sleeping schedule just got real weird. And after the lunar eclipse, then it was like I was sleeping real good. And I'm sleeping good. And I had another weird dream last night. It's like these weirdly normal dreams. I was walking down the street. I saw one of my cousins. And I was like, hey. And she said, hey. And I don't even really talk to her like that in real life. But in a dream, I did. And I asked her if she could braid my hair because apparently she does that. I mean, I know she does it because my grandma told me I could ask her to do it, but I haven't really talked to her in a minute. So dreams have been like weirdly sort of day to day, fairly average or normal. I mean, there's been a fairly normal one here or there. And by fairly normal, I mean one that's pretty crazy. Actually, I had one last night, but I don't remember it. I haven't been recording my dreams lately. I'll do that one last. So we'll just see what's up. I haven't done reversals in a while, so I'll put those in here. It's been a minute. We'll just see what's up. I don't want 3 cards. I'll give it 5 shuffles. 4 more. 3 more. 2 more. 1 more. Last one. I guess I got 2 there. King of Wands in reverse at the bottom of the deck. With the star coming out. King of Wands is Leo energy. The star is Aquarian energy. With the star upright and the King of Wands in reverse, it actually sort of puts this where it's supposed to be. Because if we look at the wheel, if the star is on the top, then the King of Wands, like it's going to look like this. And then Death in reverse under that. Like this is how it operates. Because that's the polarity. And so there is this energy, maybe in the past, because of some insecurity or some desire, there was a lot of ego in a certain situation. A lot of like not wanting to seem this or appear to be that. But now, with the King of Wands in reverse and the Star upright, it's almost like it's balancing. It's coming into a proper amount or an amount of ego that doesn't get you to sabotage opportunity because these opportunities are coming in. And it's been a message lately of like knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses, knowing who you can rely and depend on because you don't. Oh, well, let me move this back a little bit. Because you don't have to do everything yourself, or so that you're not doing everything yourself. So the Nine of Wands in Justice is where we start with this. The Nine of Wands in this deck It's someone who's strong. It's like that wounded warrior energy. It's someone who's strong, someone who's tough. But I feel like it's someone who's also like, I know that there's more to life than this. There has to be more than to life than like fighting and getting injured. And then the energy of justice is like, correct, there is. But then it comes the question of how do we get it? How do we do it? How do we switch things up? And it feels like the storm is external and the hellfire is internal. Like for a while, maybe it was like maybe life wasn't great or there was a lot of conflict or contention in a certain arena of life. But our internal space was even worse. And I think that's what justice is saying. Justice is like, well, if you want it to be easier, if you don't want it to be as difficult, then go inside and do what you need to do to stop this from being your experience on the outside. And again, it's something about bringing the ego into balance, bringing the ego in check with that King of Wands in reverse. And so there's this wall maybe that was built up between you and your external world in a way that kind of sort of kept things fixed, but it's almost like it keeps things still enough for you to do whatever you need to do on the inside. And it's like the storm is still raging out there. Oh well, look, there's the Ten of Wands. So yeah, this is that internal. This is the going to the divine. Because with the Ten of Wands, it's like just you being who you are, created as you were, brings on certain difficulties or challenges in life. And at the Ten of Wands, it's going to the divine. It's the question of why. Like, why y'all make me like this? Like, life is so hard. Like, why can't I find like peace? Like, why is this my life? Like, it's not fair. And maybe spirit's like, life ain't fair. And it's not about being fair. Well, it's almost like it is because in the Ten of Wands, it's also a card of like, you've gone through the things that you've gone through because you're someone who is capable of helping others who are in a similar situation. And so that is sort of the fairness in it because one of the things that you're meant to do down here is help people or to motivate people or to inspire people in some way. Then you have to go through what it is that they go through. If you didn't and you tried to do that, then it wouldn't be fair to them. And so with the star card, it's like you at some point you become someone's hope. And that kind of sort of came out yesterday with the star and that Queen of Wands energy. It's like as you're doing the work, as you're healing, then you start to look different. And you come into that Queen of Wands energy where people can sort of see it in you. And then in some, maybe they want to emulate you a little bit if they don't feel comfortable, like, just asking you, oh my gosh, like, what did you do? How are you doing it? Because life is rough. But I think it's also about finding your own star. And in some ways, I feel like it's about becoming your own star too. In this Nine of Wands card, it's the three separate from the six. If it was three and then six, I would say it's manifesting victory. But I guess the six and then the three is the victory of manifestation. It's the recognition that you'll get by how much you sort of like travel in life. because where you start and where you end will not be the same. It feels like there's going to be a great distance covered. And that's sort of that like Three of Wands waiting for the ship to come in. It's the continuation of the journey started at the two. And there's something about like your determination and your perseverance that even if you go through life, like even if you pick up some scars along the way or some baggage along the way, with the King of Wands in reverse, also, it's like it's not to be defined by it. And it's like not to let your soul be stained by it either. I feel like the King of Wands, he may have some difficulty and some challenge with it. So I guess I read it that way. Um, it may be difficult for the King of Wands to experience like rejection or to experience not getting what he wants because he does it so proficiently. It's like difficult to the point where he begins to question himself. And it's like, wow, like, am I really not this? Am I really not that? And so now it's almost part of the lesson for the King of Wands, again, to like not be defined by his conquests or what he's acquired. Because the King of Wands is the King of Wands regardless of who's with him, who isn't with him, what he has, what he doesn't have. And I'm saying he because it's the king. It's a she in this deck. It's easier. It ain't got to be a he, right? If you ain't a he and this is resonating for you, then it's not he. It's however you identify. And there almost is a sort of sense of, in some way, it makes you a lot more grateful to the divine. When you go through like a Ten of Wands journey and then you get to a certain point and you look back and you're like, wow, like y'all really kept me through that. Or like times were rough. Now they're better and I see them getting even brighter. But also with this King of Wands in reverse, maybe you hold a certain image or narrative of yourself that makes it difficult for you to see the depth of how amazing you are, to have gone through what you've gone through and to be who you are, to not be even more sort of destroyed or um, hopeless or feeling like things are hopeless or whatever. To like go through this and to stand as you're standing, it feels like it's amazing. And again, it's something about the way you view yourself or your narrative that you don't fully see how great you truly are. And the divine is trying to show it to you somehow. The last card is the Four of Cups in reverse. I love the Four of Cups in this deck because it's two dudes chilling in the underwear on the day off with some cookies and milk. I don't like the message, but I love the image. Um, in this deck, it speaks of a dying spark, about how if things are too comfortable or too uneventful for too long, then it makes it difficult to keep passion alive. It's like if all these two did was like sit on the couch in the underwear, eating cookies and milk, and neither one of them really likes to do that, then it's like the spark in that relationship would die. But with this in reverse, it's coming through as an energy of appreciating the slower moments, knowing when to take a break, being kind to yourself, like depending on your brand of ego, if you're the type of person that always needs to be accomplishing or achieving to have some sense of worth, then it's about not burning yourself out, not doing too much, knowing that your worth is inherent. Your worth isn't determined by what you can do or how much you're constantly doing. And while it may bring you fulfillment And while it does make you easier to see, I guess, if you're constantly doing something, then somebody has to see you, right? It's almost a question of like what really matters and what's really important. It's like things could be really exciting and like wild, and you could have stories to tell when you grow older. You can get a lot more scars, but it's almost a question of like what do you want really? Because with the King of Wands in reverse and the Four of Cups in reverse, especially with the Nine of Wands back here in Justice, now it's taken on this energy of like things that you do, it's for external validation. And it's like you're doing all of this, and it may not be purely for external validation, but it feels like there's a nugget or a kernel somewhere that seeks to continue or to do more, to go further, to be validated externally. And with the Ten of Wands, it's like, no matter how much I do, it's like it's never enough. And so it's like now you're coming into this phase where it's about understanding your worth and validating yourself regardless of what you do or don't do. And with the Ten of Wands here, again, it's like the divine is trying to get you to see this. And so it's almost like if it needs to, the divine will put a halt and will put a pause on that external validation to the point where you may think that it's not there anymore, but the external validation is being paused to show you something about yourself that is true no matter how big the platform or how big the achievement or the lack thereof. And with the star here, it's almost like it's because you're going to be taken to a higher level. And at that stage, it's going to be important for you to be validated within self, because once you reach a certain level, it can be really easy to get lost in the facade or lost in the game, right? Like let's say that you're a creative type of person and you want to be in Hollywood or whatever. And let's say you were experiencing some success, some recognition, and you're like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm feeling good. But then all of a sudden it stops. And again, it feels like it's stopping because there's something, it feels like the divine is trying to get you to see something within yourself, trying to get you to heal or acknowledge something. Because it's like if you don't address this thing and if you were to continue to rise, if you made it to Hollywood, you would lose yourself. And the Ten of Wands, again, there's like something about your story, something about your journey, something about you that other people can relate to. And like if you've come out of what you've come out of, then it feels like it's going to give them strength to come out of what they're going through. But if you lose yourself to Hollywood, then you wouldn't be in a position to do that. Now all of a sudden you're like clubbing, you're partying, you're doing hard drugs, doing a whole bunch of stuff that keeps you from doing what it is that it feels like you were. Not only were you like, is it potentially part of your purpose and mission, but also it feels like something that you want to do. And then it's like, you do all that, you get to Hollywood, and then you lose it. And then you sober up, you get your life together, and you're like, wow, like I had the platform, I had that position, I didn't do anything that I wanted to do. I got lost in the flash and lights and the celebrity of it. I kind of lost myself there. And it's like this, it's happening now to get you to see it before you get there. And that could be applicable in anything. It could be a job, it can be relationships. In relationships, maybe you define yourself as a giver. Like, I'm an excellent partner because I give and give and give. And it's time for you to learn your worth and your value outside of what you give to people. because there may be someone that you come across who will take and take and take and take and take. And then for you, it'll be this conflict between, like, oh, well, I'm a giver. A giver is what I am, and I care about this person. So I feel like I should give more, even though it hurts. If it's a job, then, like, let's say that you're the type of person that constantly defers to the judgment of others. But there's something about your eye and your brain that can catch things. And um, if you continue to be sort of that, like, maybe passive player, then it's like you're not going to get the expansion in your career that you desire because you don't show up. And it feels like, however, this is trying to be shown or illuminated to you, it feels a little counterintuitive, or it feels a lot counterintuitive because it feels like a blockage to getting what it is that you want. And it's like what it is that you believe yourself to be capable of, or that you know yourself to be capable of. And then I guess with the Four of Cups in reverse, it's asking, like, well, what is this thing? Like, maybe not necessarily, but it's like, what void are you trying to fill within yourself with this thing? Because at first I was like this, but again, like the King of Wands in reverse, it originally came in as a healthy amount of ego, a healthy amount. It's not for it to be completely present, or it's not for it to be completely absent. And so you need some of it, but it shouldn't be so big that it keeps you from being who you are with the Star Upright. But you being who you are involves a certain amount of that ego, right? Because the ego is almost the definition of self, like, this is me, or this is not me. It's almost like the King of Wands is bringing in the knowing of self. Like the King of Pentacles is good at knowing, like, business and law. The King of Cups is good at knowing people emotionally. The King of Swords is good at knowing people intellectually. And the King of Wands is good at knowing himself, good at knowing what he has. And I guess he's good at knowing what people desire. Well, maybe that's the Queen. Yeah, because the Queen of Wands is like, I know what you want, and what you want is me. But the King of Wands is feeling like an energy that knows itself. And that's why it can go after things so boldly and so brazenly. Also, with the King of Wands in reverse and the Star upright, maybe there are things within yourself that you're not accepting because of an ideal image of yourself that you're trying to uphold. But that could also just be the King of Wands in reverse. It's like you're trying to live up to being something. It's like you're in the depths and you're reaching up towards the sun and the sky. But it feels like there are things within you that you would be really quick to abandon to get this. And it's not to leave yourself behind. So the three universe has your back cards that came out are: obstacles are detours in the right direction. This is that, like, things maybe not necessarily working out immediately as they should or as they could. But in the space of that pause, there's something for you to learn. There's a direction in which you need to heal or grow. The next one is: when I lean on certainty and faith, I change my mind about the world I see. This coming off of this, I feel like it redefines success and failure. It's almost like it takes success and failure out of it. because it's not about succeeding or failing necessarily. It's about the experience that you're meant to have in that moment. And maybe the success for you in your life path is a failure. Maybe success for you on your life path is the detour, is the obstacle, is not going down a certain path. And it reminds me of what I said yesterday about how a lot of times I think perfection is about 2 year olds being 2 year olds and 3 year olds being 3 year olds. It's not about 2 year olds not being 10 or 15 or 20 because a 2 year old isn't going to be 10 or 15 or 20. It's us being who we are in the space that we're in, doing what we need to do to get where we're going, to come out of what we're coming out of, to learn what we need to learn, to do what we need to do. And with this 10 of Wands and the 9 of Wands, especially, it's like the journey is difficult. So if you had a time where you lost yourself and you were doing all kinds of stuff that you would never do if you were in your right mind or if you weren't affected by whatever you were affected by. But it's like in that moment, that's what it was for you to do. Now you can like claim victory over that. You can claim victory over the hardships of the past with that 6 of Wands and continue moving forward with the 3 of Wands, not being tied or defined by it. That's this 9 of Wands. Okay. That's the 6 into the 3. It's the victory over the past and the continuous movement forward. And so if your past was your past, then it's almost perfect because it positioned you to learn everything you needed to learn and to grow in all the ways you needed to grow. And again, coming into the 10 of Wands, you're going to have the ability to help other people who go through it also. And it's like you could be the person that you wish you had while you were going through it for someone else. And then the last one is find a deeper meaning in personal growth amid the discomfort. Okay. Find a deeper meaning in personal growth amid the discomfort. And that pretty much perfectly sums up everything I was saying. A deeper meaning and personal growth in the challenge, in the darkness, in everything. Because it's like the divine ain't out here just putting people through difficult times for funsies and to get a laugh out of it. And whenever I'm reading this, it feels like this huge smile. And it's like, this is the moment, like, this is the time where they say that enough is enough. This is where they decide to get up and to keep getting up no matter how many times they get knocked down. This is where they begin to be all of who they are. This is where they shine. And it feels like pride. It feels like love. It feels like a whole bunch of stuff. Bottom of this deck is when I focus on my inner light, I see the world through the lens of love. So we got two messages of seeing the world differently. And that's what I got for today. It's an interesting energy. So if you're in this now, the continue onward, it does sort of feel like something is coming though. Maybe it's a realization of the stuff in the past. Maybe you'll come across someone who asks you something, or you'll come across a message that reminds you of how far you've come, or that lets you know how you're positioned now to talk about something, or to it's just to like be an example to someone to know that they can get through it. Or like if it's about a job, then it's like you're going to be coming upon that the position that is the right next step for you, and maybe it isn't exactly on your trajectory, but you're going to know that it's something that you're capable of like growing into. I think a lot of times, I mean, it makes sense because we're human and we live a linear experience. Even if you did somehow manage to break the walls of time and space, your experience, your incarnation would still be linear. You can travel through time, but for you, it's still a linear experience from the moment, from the space where your brain and your consciousness is, right? I forget where I was going with that. Where was I going with that? I don't know. I just lost it. Oh, and because it is so, it's like there are certain things that it's like we may see as like they more naturally lead to another thing. But again, your experience has been your experience for a reason. If everyone took the exact same path to get to the same destinations, then imagine how slow progress would be. Sometimes it's that one idea that is from the person who's the least knowledgeable or the least experienced that really gets the ball rolling, or that solves a problem that is so complicated. And it's like sometimes complicated problems, complex problems have really simple solutions. But our minds get so worked around it, trying to wrap our head around them, that we miss what's like sort of uh, glaringly obvious. I don't know which. It's super obvious, but we're so wrapped up in it that we don't see it. And so, don't curse your journey with the Nine of Wands into the Ten of Wands, into the Four of Cups in reverse. Because again, justice came out all the way back here. There is a reason and a purpose behind this. You may just have to find it. So that's what I got. I hope y'all have a good whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that where you need to find grace, you can. I hope that where you need comfort or peace, you find it. And I hope that things unravel for you in a way that makes you just go like, wow, like I'm speechless. I have no words. Who would have imagined? Because how this started, it's like I thought this was gonna go down a completely different route. But I hope you're glad with where you end up. I hope. Bye.